proud to be a Hoop Empire fan.
A legitimate reporter has said Ben Simmons might retire, and the internet exploded. People are like, doesn't love the game, just in it for the money. They want to laugh at his downfall, like a Jazz blog had the headline, Jazz fans can't help but laugh at Ben Simmons' fall from grace. Really? You're gonna laugh at a guy's career falling apart? This is the perfect example of how if a person makes enough money, people start to act like they're not even a person. But what is the actual reason for all of this? A plugged-in Knicks reporter for the New York Post, Shafan Bondi, says, according to his sources, Ben Simmons has generated interest from the Knicks and another team, but is also questioning whether he even wants to continue playing in the NBA. That is insane because just a few months ago, he gave an interview to a guy named Scoop B and said, I'm still growing in terms of my game. It's a whole different experience for me being on the rebuilding Nets, but I'm a competitor, you know. Oh yeah, of course. Ben Simmons the competitor, that's what they all said. So what changed between a few months ago and now? The truth about his situation is even stranger than the rumors. Just a few weeks ago, with about a month to go before training camp, Ben shockingly fired his agent, Bernie Lee. That almost never happens. Dude must have been so pissed about the offers he wasn't getting, he figured it was his agent's fault. But one problem outside of his game are his demands. A report says that Ben wants more than the minimum salary, and that has turned teams off. He's like the opposite of Russell Westbrook. Russ will play for anybody, for any amount of money, but Ben has got demands and particulars. He went from being the first overall pick to a free agent who nobody seems to want. But to understand what happened, you have to go all the way back to the beginning, back to his first season when he and Donovan Mitchell battled for Rookie of the Year. Ben won because of his all-around game, 16 points, 8 boards, and 8 assists as a rookie with elite defense. He led the Sixers to the 3 seed. People forget that Rudy Gobert was almost knocked off his defensive throne by Ben Simmons. Do you remember the debate on who is the best defender in the world? In 2021, you were either Team Gobert or Team Ben Simmons. Ben was making All-Star every year, but Rudy just barely snuck by in first place with Ben in second for Defensive Player of the Year. That is how good this man used to be. And it all led to one of the coldest takes in sports media history. A reporter said he looked at the NBA and could say, "Hey LeBron, we're good bro, you can go." Yup, the NBA was in good hands with Ben Simmons, and LeBron could retire. It was all great. But somehow, in that same year, 2021, when he almost won Defensive Player of the Year, Ben passed up that open dunk in crunch time of Game 7. Now, it wasn't all his fault, like the narrative said, but Joel Embiid and Doc Rivers threw him under the bus. Fans couldn't wait to put it all on Ben Simmons because for years they begged him to shoot in games like they saw in that summer league, but he refused to do it. So the fans turned on him, and after that Game 7, Simmons never suited up for the Sixers again. There will be a documentary about this one day, and for all the hype that the passed-up dunk gets, I think it's justified. You can mark a clean break in his career from before and after that play, because Ben was traded to the Nets for James Harden. He sat out all of 2022, and when he came back, was a shell of himself. This is a look at his time in Brooklyn. He sat 66% of the games and went from an all-star Defensive Player of the Year type guy to a walking triple single. But why the mystery? Actually, it's not. People just don't believe it. While playing for the Sixers, Ben said he was going up the stairs when he initially had some soreness in his back. Then, when he went to hop up the stairs, his whole right side just dropped. He laid down and could not move. Dude herniated a disc in his back. It required surgery in the 2022 offseason, but after that, another back issue popped up. He had an impinged back nerve that forced him to miss a ton of games. While he sat, dude for some reason always wore sunglasses, chilling in a Gucci jacket, making more than anybody else on the team. He's the most tone-deaf guy in the world. So people were like, oh, a back injury? Sure. The guy who refuses to improve his game, who holds out on the Sixers, all of a sudden's got a back injury? How convenient. But when you watched him play, dude clearly had issues. It reminds you of what happened to Tiger Woods. He had a huge scandal that got all the headlines, right? He cheated on his wife. But at the exact same time that all came out, he suffered career-ending injuries that took him down. So right after the scandal, his career just falls apart, but people barely look at the actual reason. All people remember is his big controversy: Tiger sucks. And it's the same with Ben. He didn't have the big personal problems, his was just he passed up a dunk. But it just so happens, at the exact same time, his back breaks, and he's never the same. People thought, oh, the Sixers mess broke his brain. He's also got a broken back. People forget that little detail. But to make things worse, nobody has any sympathy for Ben Simmons. I mean, there have been character questions even before he was drafted. Tracy McGrady went on ESPN and told a story about watching Game 6 of the NBA Finals in a suite in Cleveland. He had Bill Russell there, Vince Carter, but young Ben Simmons walks in like he's the legend. Didn't say hi to anybody. Then, former coach and GM Stu Jackson said, "There's just something about the way that Simmons handles himself, or has been handled by his camp, that gives me a little cause for pause." At the time, we're like, dude, he's such a young kid, don't be so harsh. But those guys were right. Ben's attitude was too cool to improve his game and help the team, too good to stay in Philly after they lost Game 7, so when a legitimate back injury pops up, nobody cares. It must have felt so frustrating for the whole world to say F you when he's actually hurt. So at this point, dude's made over $200 million. Back injuries have taken all of his skill away. It makes total sense why he'd want to hang it up, but also why nobody's going to be mad if he does. He had two separate and simultaneous downfalls, the mental one that made people hate him, and the physical one that made him incapable of playing at a high level, and the two are now forever linked in the public mind. If you want to know more about the shocking and untold stories of professional athletes, hit that subscribe button.